Hello guys, and welcome back to the 30th part of this course. So in this one I'll be showing you guys everything that has to do with class functions in Python. So what are class functions? Class functions are basically functions that we can use in a class, and it can either get a class information or modify the class. Just like when we're dealing with lists in Python, we use list functions to get information from the list, modify the list, append, write, and do a whole lot of things in the list. So there are also functions that we can use in class. So let's go ahead and start working with class functions now. So the first thing you want to do is create a new file over here, and let's name this file students.py. So let's name this file students.py. Okay, and you want to create another file, and let's name that one student class. Okay, so in the student.py, we want to create a class just like what we did when we're working with class. In the student class.py. Let's go ahead and start creating a class. So you want to define a class, and let's call the name of the class student. So below this, you want to define an initialize function, and I already showed you guys how to do that. It's define underscore init underscore then passing self as the parameter in there. And there's another thing that this underscore are being called in Python. You can also call them dunder, like dunder init in Python. So in here you want to pass in two other parameters that we want to use for the function. The first one should be the name. Okay, let's say we want to pass in 3. We should pass in major, and we should pass in GPA. So down here, let's call self.name, and we want to assign this to name. We also want to call self.major, or we could just duplicate this in 3 places, and let's say self.major. Then we want to assign this to major, and finally we want to say self.gpa, and we want to assign this to GPA. So that's pretty much it for the class. Let's go over to the new students.py app that we created, and first of all import the class that we created from the student class, this one over here. So let's import it. Okay, want to say from student class. I was using import student class import. So let's say from student class we want to import student. So down here we could define a first variable, and let's name this student, and we're going to set this to student class that we imported. Now let's form a student, like an actual student. So first of all, you're going to pass in the name of the student. So let's say we want the name of the student to be gift, and let's say we want the major of the student to be, let's say, business, and make sure you pass in this into a string business. And let's say we want the GPA to be a very high one, let's say 3.0, and we want to define another student, and let's set this variable to student2, and let's say we want the name of the student to be praise, and want the business of the student to be accounting, and we want the GPA of the student to be 2.3. okay, this is okay over here. Now there are some things that we want to do. Back to the student class, we want to define another function that should help us check if a student is on honor roll. That means if the student is like a good student that performed well in the major that they are into. So in order to do that, you want to define a function, and let's name this on honor roll. So this is going to be on honor underscore roll, and this is going to take in self as a parameter. So down here, what we want to say is if self.gpa is greater than or equal to 3.0, that means if the student's GPA is greater than 3.0, that means they are on honor roll. That means they're going to be honored by the school or something like that. And in here you can see that gift's GPA is 3.0. That means he's going to be honored by the school. But in the other hand, praise GPA is 2.3. That means he failed, so he's not going to be honored by the school. So you want to do this, then want to return true. You could either return true, or you could return like a printed statement or something like that, but I want to return true. Down here I want to say else. So if the student's GPA is less than 3.0, I want to return false. So let's go ahead and put this into practice. Down here, the first thing I want to do is print student. Then in here I want to check if the student is on honor roll. So here, let's go ahead and run this and see what we have now. So it says on honor roll missing one required positional argument. And why is that happening? Because we have to either assign the variable over here, and in my case it's supposed to be either student1 or student 2. So student 1, student 2, let's run this. Now you get none because student 2 is below 2.3. But had even we want to use student 1, what are we going to get now? We're going to get true because he's on probation and his GP is higher than 3.0. So that's pretty much it for class functions, and hopefully you guys understood something. And if you did, make sure to drop a like and comment on this video, and do not forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye and stay safe for now.